Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one I'd like to take a very brief but decent look at one of my favourite meme decks to come out of the 151 set, and that is going to be a Guts Machamp deck. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the Guts decks, basically they all have this ability that says if this Pokemon would be KO'd, basically you get to flip a coin, and if you flip heads, then the Pokemon is not knocked out, and instead its HP becomes 10. So it's essentially like a second chance at life, which sounds great in theory, but usually Pokemon like to balance out these abilities by giving them very bad attacks. And of course, you have to compete with the RNG, which is pretty bad most games, not gonna lie. You should probably preface this video by saying, like, do not build this deck unless you have all the pieces already. Like, it's not worth it, but it is a very funny concept, and it can make for some very amusing games. It's also very fun to watch your opponents start to like slowly lose their mind as you start to flip like 4 heads in a row. But yeah, that's basically how you win, is that you just pray that you flip heads, and if your opponent just doesn't take a prize card, then you'll eventually win with Mountain Chopping, which coincidentally only does 100 damage, which is a bit pathetic. It means we're not even 3-shotting a Charizard, which is terrible, of course. So it is pretty bad in that sense. It does mill 2, which is nice, so deck out is kind of an option with this deck, especially with Countercatcher, I think. Yeah, Countercatcher. It's coming around in Paradox Rift, so you can potentially gust up something and then maybe just not attack and just try and deck them out at the end of the game. That could be an option for this deck. If this was like mill 3 or mill 4, it would actually be really good, but, well, it wouldn't be great, but, it'd be at least a bit more playable as a meme deck. But yeah, Guts, super risky card, nothing too great. I just kind of like this card and I wanted to build a Machamp deck. I haven't really played one in a while. I did have this Machamp, funny enough, in a like Lost Zone build a while ago, but that deck wasn't great, so decided to can that deck idea and put it into this deck. So this Machamp has a decent ability, Crisis Muscles. If your opponent has 3 or 4 prizes remaining, it gets plus 150 HP. Which is a lot for stage 2 to have. 300 HP is actually really strong, but of course Strong Arm Lariat isn't actually doing a lot of damage, 200 damage is whatever, so yeah, this deck isn't really throwing out a lot of damage. We do have one more attacker, and that is the Cramorant that can do 110 for 0 energy effectively, as long as we have at least 4 cards in a Lost Zone. And even though I'm not playing any Lost Vacuum, I am playing 4 copies of Colress Experiment, just to dig through a deck a bit quicker and find stuff like Rare Candies and Machamps. So that's kind of like why we can get away with playing stuff like Cramorant. You could play like Lost City, I guess, and what's the one? Lost Vacuum, but yeah, I don't think it's necessarily worth it. I mean, this deck is not super serious anyway. It's not like it's going to matter too much in the long run, but yeah. The deck is very clearly a meme deck. There's nothing too crazy about the trainers, I don't think. Got some EXP share just because we have an already very awkward attack cost. 1 copy of Boost Shake just because I don't use this card in any other deck, so figured why not just throw it in here. Bit of fun, Also playing the Bibarel draw engine just to draw a bunch of cards. And yeah, it's kind of about it for the deck profile. Also, the energy is just 11 basic energy because don't need to play reverse energy, I don't think. I mean, you could if you really wanted to, but yeah, I'm not super a fan of that card anyway. At least not right now. But yeah, I'm not sure if there'll be any gameplay for this deck. I will leave the list in the description, of course, but I don't know if there'll be any gameplay. It's a very flippant deck. It can end very badly. But yeah, it's been Iono PAL. I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. I'm hopefully going to be starting the Paradox Rift content after this deck profile. I might do one more deck profile for like Halloween, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's been Iono PAL, and thank you for watching.